The phone rang Tuesday morning as I reviewed quarterly finances for my hospitality business. Sarah Mitchell from Elegant Events sounded anxious, delivering news that would transform my family relationships forever. Ms. Harrison, I'm calling regarding your sister Jennifer's baby celebration this Saturday. Your relatives have asked us to exclude you from the invitation list, but they want to retain the $30,000 payment you made for the occasion. I placed down my beverage and reclined in my executive chair, looking out at the urban horizon. From my corner suite on the 40th level. The contradiction wasn't missed by me. For 3 years running, my relatives had viewed me as the outcast, the sibling who'd abandoned a legitimate profession to fiddle with small business projects. They were unaware that those projects had developed into Meridian Holdings, a $2.8 billion hospitality and entertainment corporation. I understand, I responded quietly. And did they provide you a rationale for excluding me? Sarah's tone became increasingly awkward. They mentioned you don't truly match the atmosphere they're seeking. Something regarding wanting exclusively accomplished individuals at the festivities. I nearly chuckled. If they only understood. Sarah, I require you to terminate the complete occasion. I apologize. Excuse me? But madam, you're not the expectant mother. I cannot simply. Correct, but I possess Grandview Country Club where it's scheduled. I additionally possess Sapphire Catering, the organization supplying your meals and service personnel, and the Ocean View Resort where the visiting guests are lodging. That belongs to me, also, alongside the spa treatments they've reserved. The quiet on the opposite end of the connection extended for almost 10 seconds. I don't comprehend, Sarah murmured. Allow me to clarify. Contact my sibling and inform her the baby celebration is terminated. All suppliers are withdrawing. The resort bookings are nullified. Everything except the agreements. Examine the detailed terms. There's a provision regarding occasion termination due to ownership judgment. I'll have my legal staff forward the paperwork within the hour. Following disconnecting, I remained in my suite considering how we'd reached this situation. During childhood, Jennifer and I had been tight. She was 2 years senior and had consistently been the favored child. Salutatorian, complete funding to Harvard Business School, wed to a prosperous investment banker. I'd chosen a different route, launching small enterprises instead of following traditional corporate achievement. What my relatives never grasped was that while Jennifer was ascending someone else's corporate hierarchy, I was constructing my own domain from the foundation up. It began with a single food wagon when I was 22, then a small catering business, a boutique inn. Each achievement financed the subsequent venture, and I intentionally maintained a modest profile, functioning through different LLCs and parent companies. To them, I was simply Emma, the sibling who never quite succeeded. They endured me at family functions, but clarified I was the backup daughter. Jennifer's pregnancy had only worsened matters. Suddenly, she was creating the family's initial grandchild, solidifying her position as the accomplished one, while I remained the disappointing sibling who couldn't even sustain a serious romance. My device rang again. Jennifer's identity appeared on the display. Emma, what the hell did you accomplish? Her tone was piercing with alarm. Good morning to you as well, Jen. The baby celebration is terminated. Sarah stated, you contacted and terminated everything. You cannot do that. Actually, I can. And I did. This is crazy. You're being spiteful because we didn't invite you. We simply thought it would be preferable if what? If the unsuccessful sibling wasn't present to humiliate you before your acquaintances. That's not look, you understand how significant this is to me. It's my initial baby and I desired everything flawless. You comprehend, correct? Some of David's associates' spouses will be present and I must create a positive impression. The casual brutality in her tone was stunning. She was requesting me to comprehend why I wasn't adequate to attend my own nephew's baby celebration. Here's what I comprehend, Jennifer. You accepted my funds, $30,000 of it, to finance your flawless gathering. Then you determined I wasn't deserving to attend. That's what I comprehend. We'll reimburse you. With what funds? Your husband's income barely covers your Manhattan lease. And you haven't labored since the wedding. The reality was, I'd been quietly supporting my relatives for years. Their country club membership. I possessed the club and had waived their charges. Jennifer's wedding reception at the plaza. I'd covered half the expense through a supplier reduction. My parents' recent cruise holiday. My travel business had supplied it at cost. They believed they were living these accomplished lives, but I'd been the invisible force making it feasible. Look, Jennifer's tone softened, switching to manipulation approach. Maybe we can arrange something. What if we restore you to the invitation list? We could claim there was a confusion. No, Emma, be logical. Consider mom and dad. They're so thrilled about their initial grandchild. Don't spoil this for them. That was rich. Our parents who'd spent the previous 5 years questioning when I was going to become serious about life and locate a genuine job. The identical parents who'd introduced me to individuals as their daughter who's still determining things out, while Jennifer received the complete biography recitation of her accomplishments. The occasion is terminated. Jen, final judgment. You are being absurd. Fine, retain your funds, but you cannot terminate something that isn't yours to terminate. Actually, I can. Would you like me to explain how? Before she could respond, I accessed my computer and began reading from my holdings document. Grandview Country Club. I obtained it 2 years ago when the previous owners defaulted on their loan. Sapphire Catering. I constructed that from my original food wagon business. Ocean View Resort, purchased last year as part of a distressed asset acquisition. The quiet extended so long I thought the connection had ended. You're fabricating, she finally whispered. Jennifer, I'm going to forward you some documents. After you examine them, we can converse again. I disconnected and instructed my assistant to prepare a comprehensive portfolio of my business holdings, focusing on the organizations directly involved in the baby celebration. Within 30 minutes, a courier was en route to Jennifer's apartment with a thick manila envelope. My device started ringing immediately after the delivery would have arrived. First Jennifer, then my mother, then my father. I allowed them all to go to voicemail. Jennifer's message was a combination of shock and anger. Emma, I don't comprehend how this is feasible. Mom and Dad need to know about this. We need to converse. My mother's message was typical. Emma, honey, Jennifer contacted me crying. I don't understand what's occurring, but surely we can resolve this as a family. This is about your nephew, sweetheart. My father's message was more direct. Emma, this is your father. I've seen the documents Jennifer showed us. We need to have a family meeting immediately. There are things we need to discuss. I waited until evening to contact them back, starting with my parents. They were at Jennifer's apartment, probably strategizing damage control. Emma, my mother's tone was overly bright. We've all been attempting to reach you. I know. I've been occupied, honey. Jennifer showed us some very interesting paperwork. We had no idea you'd accomplished so well for yourself. The condescension was still present, even in her attempt at praise. I'd accomplished well for myself, like I was a child who'd managed to tie my shoes correctly. Is that what you want to discuss? My father took the phone. Emma, we owe you an apology. We didn't realize the extent of your achievement, but family is family, and we can work through this confusion about the baby celebration. There's no confusion, Dad. Jennifer clarified I wasn't welcome because I don't match the image she wants to project. She was stressed about the pregnancy hormones. You know how women become. Dad, stop. What I'm saying is we can repair this. Jennifer wants to restore your invitation. We can have the celebration as planned. No, we cannot. Emma, be logical. Consider your nephew. This is his festivities. That was the moment I realized they still didn't grasp it. They thought this was a tantrum, a moment of hurt feelings that could be smoothed over with an apology and an invitation to their table. They couldn't comprehend that their daughter, the family disappointment, actually held power in this situation. Dad, let me be very clear. The occasion is terminated because I chose to terminate it. Not because I'm hurt, not because I'm being spiteful, but because I possess the venues and services involved, but surely there are no Shirleys. Jennifer excluded me from the invitation list while expecting me to finance her gathering. That tells me exactly what my role in this family is supposed to be. Invisible benefactor. Well, I'm choosing to be visible now. I disconnected and turned off my device. The next morning brought a different kind of contact. David, Jennifer's husband, reached me at my suite. Emma, we need to converse. David had always been more perceptive than the rest of my relatives. While they saw me as the unsuccessful sibling, he'd occasionally asked thoughtful questions about my enterprises. I'd always deflected, not ready to reveal the full scope of what I'd constructed. What can I do for you, David? I saw the documents. Jennifer received. I have to ask, is this genuine? Do you actually possess all of these organizations? It's genuine. Is this Emma? The valuation numbers I'm seeing, are you telling me you're worth $2.8 billion according to my most recent assessment? The quiet was profound, and we've been treating you like he couldn't finish the sentence, like the family failure. Yes. Why didn't you ever mention anything? That was the question I'd been asking myself. Why had I allowed them to see me as unsuccessful when I was actually more financially successful than all of them combined? Because I wanted to be loved for who I am, not what I have. I wanted Jennifer to invite me to her baby celebration because I'm her sibling and she wants me present, not because I can afford to pay for it. Emma, she does want you present. She's been crying since yesterday. She wants me present now after she knows what I'm worth. That's different. Look, I know how it appears, but Jennifer really is devastated. The pregnancy has made her emotional, and she's been under pressure from her acquaintances about having this flawless occasion. She made a stupid mistake, David. She accepted my funds and then told me I wasn't adequate to attend the gathering it was paying for. That's not a mistake. That's a statement about how she sees our relationship. So, what occurs now? The celebration is this Saturday. We have 40 guests expecting to attend. Then you'll need to locate a new venue, new catering, and new accommodations. For your out-of-town guests, might I suggest contacting around to organizations I don't possess? Though in this city that might be challenging. Emma, please consider your nephew. Everyone kept invoking my unborn nephew as if terminating his baby celebration would somehow harm him. The baby would be fine. The only thing being harmed was Jennifer's image and my relatives' expectation that they could treat me poorly without consequences. My nephew will be born into a relatives that understands respect and boundaries, or he won't. That's up to you and Jennifer. After disconnecting with David, I made a decision that would reshape our family dynamics permanently. I contacted my assistant and instructed her to prepare a comprehensive analysis of every financial interaction I'd had with my relatives over the past 5 years. The country club memberships, the wedding expenses, the vacation subsidies, the restaurant reductions at establishments I possessed, everything. The total was staggering. $847,000 in direct subsidies, plus waived charges and services worth another $340,000. I'd been supporting their lifestyle for years while they looked down on me for not having their definition of achievement. But I also did something else. I contacted Jennifer's doctor's office and arranged for a private maternity ward at my newest acquisition, Metropolitan Hospital. Then I contacted the city's premier newborn photography service and booked a session. Finally, I arranged for a month's worth of meal deliveries from my restaurant group's family nutrition program. They wanted to exclude me from the festivities, fine, but I was still going to be the aunt my nephew deserved. Saturday arrived. I spent the morning at my home office reviewing acquisition proposals for a small chain of family entertainment centers. Around noon, my doorbell rang. Through the security camera, I saw my parents standing on my doorstep. I'd never invited them to my house. They didn't even know where I lived. It was a penthouse that I'd purchased quietly, and my address wasn't listed anywhere they would have access to it. "How did you locate me?" I asked through the intercom. "We hired a private investigator," my father said. "Emma, we need to converse." I admitted them up, curious about what they'd learned from their investigation. They stood in my foyer, taking in the marble floors, the crystal chandelier, the original artwork on the walls. My mother's mouth was slightly open. "This place must cost," she started. "I possess the building," I said simply. "Would you like some coffee?" They followed me to the kitchen where floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city. My mother sank into one of the bar stools at the island. "Emma, we need to understand what's occurring here." "What would you like to understand?" My father pulled out a manila folder. "The investigator provided us with a preliminary report about your business holdings. Is it accurate that you possess 127 properties across 3 states? That's conservative. It's actually 143 as of last week. And the restaurant group, 37 locations with 12 more opening this year." My mother looked like she might cry. "Honey, why didn't you tell us? We had no idea you were this accomplished." "Because achievement shouldn't be a prerequisite for love. Mom. I wanted you to be proud of me for who I am, not impressed by my bank account." "But we are proud of you," she protested. "Really? When was the last time you introduced me to someone without mentioning that I was still determining things out?" She couldn't answer. My father leaned forward. "Emma, we made mistakes. We can see that now. But family forgives family. Jennifer is devastated about the baby celebration and she wants to make things right." "What does making things right look like to you?" "She wants to reschedule the celebration and make sure you're the guest of honor." "The guest of honor at my nephew's baby celebration? That seems inappropriate." "You know what I mean." "She wants to acknowledge your contribution and make sure everyone knows how much the family appreciates you." There it was. They wanted to parade me around as the accomplished sibling now to claim credit for my achievements and use my wealth to enhance their social standing. It was exactly what I'd feared would happen if they knew the truth. "I'm not interested in being your trophy daughter." "Dad, that's not what we're requesting." "It's exactly what you're requesting. You want to undo years of dismissing me by suddenly claiming me as an achievement story. But here's the thing. I was always accomplished. I was constructing something meaningful while you were embarrassed by my choices. The only thing that's changed is your knowledge of my net worth." My mother reached across the island and took my hand. "Emma, we love you. We've always loved you. You love the idea of me. You love having a daughter you can be proud of now that you know I'm wealthy. But you didn't love me when you thought I was a failure." "That's not accurate. Mom, 3 months ago, you asked me if I was planning to become serious about life soon. You suggested I look into administrative assistant positions because they offered good benefits and stability. You were embarrassed by me. The truth hung in the air between us. They couldn't deny it because we all remembered the conversation." "People change," my father said quietly. "We can do better." "I hope so. But change takes time and it requires acknowledging what went wrong. You two spent years treating me like a disappointment while I was secretly funding the lifestyle that made you feel accomplished." I pulled out my own folder and showed them the financial analysis my assistant had prepared. "This is every time I've subsidized your lives over the past 5 years. The country club, the vacations, Jennifer's wedding, the restaurant bills that were mysteriously reduced. All of it came from me." My mother stared at the numbers. $800,000 plus services and waived charges. You've been living off my achievement while looking down on me for not achieving what you considered genuine achievement. My father's face had gone pale. We didn't know because I didn't want you to know. I wanted to help because I love you, not because I was trying to prove my worth. But I can see now that allowing you to see me as unsuccessful was a mistake. It enabled you to treat me poorly without consequence. So what occurs now? My mother asked. Now we establish new boundaries. I'm not your ATM and I'm not your trophy daughter. I'm your daughter. Period. If you can love and respect me on those terms, we can rebuild our relationship. If not, I didn't finish the sentence. I didn't need to. My device rang. Jennifer's identity appeared on the screen. That's your other daughter probably contacting to see if you've convinced me to restore her gathering. Will you answer it? My mother asked. I declined the contact. Jennifer needs to do her own work here. She's the one who decided I wasn't adequate for her baby celebration. She's the one who needs to figure out how to repair that. My parents left an hour later, promising to consider everything we discussed. I watched their vehicle disappear from my building's parking garage and felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Relief. For the first time in our relationship, they knew exactly who I was. The accomplished businesswoman, yes, but also the daughter who'd been quietly supporting them while they dismissed her achievements. The sibling who'd funded Jennifer's flawless life while being excluded from it. My device buzzed with a text from Jennifer. The baby celebration went ahead at David's organization's conference room. 20 individuals showed up. The sandwich platter from the corner deli was actually pretty good. I thought you should know. I typed back, I'm glad you located an alternative. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally. I'm sorry, Emma. I'm really truly sorry. I don't know how to repair this. I stared at the message for a long time before responding. Figure out how to be my sibling again. The rest will follow. 6 weeks later, Jennifer went into labor. I was in Hong Kong finalizing the acquisition of a luxury hotel chain when David contacted. Emma, the baby's coming. Jennifer specifically asked me to contact you. How is she? Scared, excited, requesting her sibling. I was on a plane within 3 hours. When I arrived at the hospital, I found my relatives in the waiting room. Jennifer was in active labor and the atmosphere was tense with anticipation. Emma, my mother stood and embraced me. I'm so glad you're here. How is she? It's been 12 hours. The doctors say everything is progressing normally, but it's her first baby, so David emerged from the delivery room, still in scrubs. She wants to see you. I found Jennifer propped up in bed, exhausted, but glowing. She started crying when she saw me. You came? Of course, I came. You're having my nephew, Emma. I've been thinking about everything that occurred with the baby celebration. I was so wrong. Genuine labor. We can discuss this later. No, I need to say this now. I was awful to you. I accepted your funds and then decided you weren't adequate for my gathering. That's not who I want to be, and it's not the example I want to set for my son. She reached for my hand. I don't care about your funds. I mean, I'm impressed and proud. But that's not why I want you in my life. I want you here because you're my sibling and I love you. I love you, too, Jen. Will you be his godmother? Not because you're wealthy, but because you're the strongest, most accomplished individual I know, and I want him to learn from you. I squeezed her hand. Yes. 4 hours later, James Harrison Mitchell made his entrance into the world. 6 pounds 8. Oz of flawless baby boy. As I held my nephew for the first time, Jennifer smiled at me from her hospital bed. I have something to tell you, she said. David and I have been discussing and we want to ask you something. What's that? Would you be interested in being his business mentor when he's older? I mean, we want him to learn about entrepreneurship and constructing something from nothing. We want him to understand that achievement comes from hard work and vision, not just good grades and following someone else's path. I looked down at the tiny face in my arms. I'd be honored. And Emma. We're having a proper festivities for him next month, a christening and welcome gathering. You're not just invited. We want you to help plan it as his godmother and aunt. What about the invitation list? Will I match the atmosphere? Jennifer winced. I deserved that. The invitation list will include everyone who loves this baby. Starting with his brilliant, accomplished, amazing aunt. 2 months later, I stood in the garden of my Hamptons estate, watching my relatives celebrate my nephew's christening. The gathering was beautiful, elegant, but warm with close acquaintances and relatives gathered to welcome James into the world. My parents mingled with my business partners and acquaintances. No longer embarrassed by their daughter, but genuinely proud of what I'd constructed. Jennifer and David were relaxed and happy, finally understanding that relative support doesn't come with conditions. And in the center of it all was baby James, sleeping peacefully in his christening gown, surrounded by individuals who loved him. Jennifer found me by the garden fountain as the sun was setting. "Thank you," she said simply. "For what?" "For not giving up on us. For teaching me that love isn't conditional. For showing James what it looks like to construct something meaningful." I smiled watching our parents cooing over their grandson. "We're relatives, Jen. That's what relatives does. Even when they act like idiots, especially then." As the evening wound down and guests began to leave, I realized that terminating the baby celebration had been the best decision I could have made. Not because it punished my relatives, but because it forced all of us to confront the truth about our relationships. Now, instead of being the relative's disappointment who secretly funded everyone's lifestyle, I was simply Emma, accomplished businesswoman, devoted sibling, and very proud godmother to the most flawless baby in the world. And that I thought as I held my sleeping nephew was worth every uncomfortable conversation I had taken to get